For decades, Diane Keaton has stood as one of cinema's most distinctive and beloved figures, admired not only for her talent, but for the honesty and individuality she brought to every role. Rather than fitting neatly into Hollywood expectations, she carved out a space that felt deeply human, quirky, thoughtful, and real. Audiences connected with her because she never performed from behind a mask. She allowed vulnerability, humor, and imperfection to live side by side on screen. Whether in sweeping dramas or intimate comedies, her presence carried warmth and intelligence that lingered long after the credits rolled. Keaton's influence has never been limited to awards or box office success. Instead, it rests in how she made people feel seen, understood, and comforted through her work. Her career reflects a life guided by curiosity and courage, showing that longevity in art comes not from control, but from authenticity and the willingness to evolve with time. Roots shaped by quiet strength. Born Diane Hall on January 5, 1946 in Los Angeles, Diane grew up in a household defined by restraint and structure. Her father, Jack Hall, was a civil engineer who valued discipline, while her mother, Dorothy Diane Keaton Hall, carried unfulfilled artistic dreams after stepping away from performance to raise a family. Watching her mother's creative spark dim left a lasting impression on Diane, instilling a determination to live without suppressing her own voice. Though her early years were marked by self-doubt and struggles with self-image, these experiences quietly strengthened her empathy and emotional awareness. School became a refuge, especially theater, where she discovered freedom in expression and the confidence to explore who she was. Those formative years laid the groundwork for her resilience, teaching her that sensitivity was not weakness, but a source of insight that would later define her artistry. Choosing the uncertain path. In the mid-1960s, Diane felt the pull of something larger than the familiarity of California. After studying at Santa Ana College and Orange Coast College, she made the bold decision to move to New York City, driven by ambition and an appetite for challenge. Arriving in 1966 with limited resources, she embraced a life filled with uncertainty, small apartments, long winters, and constant auditions. She supported herself through waitressing and stage work, often facing rejection that tested her confidence. Yet Diane viewed fear as motivation rather than a barrier, allowing it to sharpen her focus instead of silencing her dreams. New York shaped her independence and toughness, reinforcing the belief that growth requires discomfort. This chapter of struggle and persistence would later inform her performances, giving her characters an authenticity that could only come from lived experience. The breakthrough that changed everything. Diane's early perseverance paid off when she joined the original Broadway production of Hair in 1968, where her presence and sincerity caught the attention of industry insiders. Her transition to film soon followed, leading to her casting as Kay Adams in The Godfather in 1972. Though understated, the role placed her firmly within Hollywood's spotlight and introduced audiences to her natural, grounded style. Rather than leaning into glamour, Diane offered restraint and emotional depth, qualities that distinguished her from her peers. This breakthrough marked the beginning of a career built on substance rather than spectacle. She demonstrated that strength on screen could come from quiet conviction, and that meaningful performances did not require exaggeration. With each opportunity, Diane refined a voice that felt uniquely her own. Collaboration and cultural impact. The late 1970s became a defining era for Diane through her collaborations with Woody Allen, particularly in Annie Hall. Her portrayal of the thoughtful, unconventional Annie resonated deeply with audiences, capturing the spirit of a generation questioning tradition and embracing individuality. The role earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress and cemented her place as a cultural icon. Yet Diane never allowed accolades to define her self-worth. She continued choosing projects that challenged her emotionally and creatively, blending humor with introspection in a way few actors could replicate. Her work during this period influenced fashion, dialogue, and the portrayal of women on screen, proving that intelligence and vulnerability could coexist with charm. Diane's impact extended beyond film, shaping how authenticity was valued in popular culture. Love, loss, and self-discovery. Alongside professional success, Diane experienced profound emotional chapters that shaped her inner life. Her relationship with Al Pacino, born from creative collaboration, was deeply meaningful, yet ultimately unsustainable due to differing needs and paths. Rather than viewing heartbreak as failure, Diane embraced it as a teacher, gaining insight into independence and self-respect. These experiences, coupled with personal loss, led her into periods of reflection and solitude away from Hollywood's noise. Journaling, introspection, and therapy became tools for understanding herself beyond public identity. Through these quieter years, Diane learned that fulfillment did not come from constant companionship or recognition, but from living in alignment with her values. This growth informed her later choices, both personally and professionally, and strengthened her emotional resilience, motherhood, and renewed purpose. In the 1990s, Diane entered one of the most transformative chapters of her life through motherhood. She adopted her daughter Dexter in 1996, and later her son Duke in 2001, discovering a depth of purpose she had never known before. Motherhood shifted her priorities, grounding her in routine, presence, and unconditional love. Diane often spoke of how raising her children taught her patience and humility, offering a sense of balance after decades of intense public scrutiny. Everyday moments became sacred, reminding her that joy often lives in simplicity rather than achievement. This period also encouraged healing, as she confronted lingering struggles from her youth with compassion rather than criticism. Motherhood did not replace her identity as an artist, but enriched it, giving her life a renewed sense of meaning, creativity beyond the spotlight. Even as Diane stepped back from constant public attention, her creative spirit remained vibrant. She explored directing, including the documentary Heaven, and continued selecting roles that reflected emotional truth rather than commercial pressure. Her later performances carried a quiet wisdom, shaped by experience and self-awareness. Outside of film, she expressed herself through writing, photography, and reflection, embracing creativity as a lifelong companion rather than a career obligation. Diane demonstrated that artistry does not fade with age, but evolves, becoming more intentional and grounded. Her willingness to age authentically challenged Hollywood norms, offering a powerful example of grace and confidence. Through every medium she touched, Diane remained committed to sincerity, reminding audiences that meaningful work comes from listening closely to one's inner voice. A legacy of authentic living. Diane Keaton's legacy is defined not only by iconic performances, but by the way she chose to live. Her journey illustrates that resilience is built through honesty, that vulnerability can be a strength, and that fulfillment grows when one honors their truth. From a restrained childhood to global recognition, from love and loss to motherhood and creative freedom, she navigated each phase with courage and reflection. Diane's story encourages others to resist conformity, embrace imperfection, and value connection over applause. Her influence continues through her work, her family, and the countless individuals inspired by her openness. Ultimately, Diane Keaton represents the enduring power of living authentically, showing that a life guided by curiosity, compassion, and self-acceptance leaves a mark far deeper than fame alone.